In this lecture, we are going to learn about object-oriented, means the very basics of object-oriented programming, alright, and in that we will be learning about classes and objects, alright. So this is the very basic of object-oriented programming. There are many other concepts, alright, that you would be needing to learn, but for now, for the starting, alright, for starting, this is the topic that I'm going to teach you, alright. We'll be learning about classes and objects, we'll be learning about fields, we'll be learning about methods, that is class members, alright. We'll be learning about, constructors, how to create a constructor. We are going to learn about access modifier, static keyword. We are going to learn about static classes. Alright. So without any further ado, alright, let's start with the lecture. Alright. See, to understand classes and objects now, understand this. Object-oriented programming, alright, we have to understand the very fundamental concept of object-oriented programming. What exactly is it? See, object-oriented programming is basically an approach, alright, that breaks a programming problem into objects that interact with each other. All right, basically objects are created from templates, and those templates are known as class. All right, we actually can think class as a blueprint. All right, class as a blueprint, and just like a blueprint of a building. All right, and from that blueprint of a building we build an object that is the actual building with bricks and mortar and all those things, right? So that's what object oriented programming is. All right, so I hope this you have understood what exactly object oriented programming is, right? Now, as we have understood what exactly object oriented programming is, it is our time to understand about classes. All right, as I told you, class is like a blueprint, right? Like here you can see this is a class, public class program, right? Inside there is a method, that is the main method, right? So we can write our own class. Now to write our own class, first of all, remember you can't write a class inside another class. All right, you have to write a new class outside of that class. All right, so what we have to do is write public, all right, public class, all right, and give the class a name. All right, give the class a name, and let's give the class a name as person. And then what you have to do is you have to open curly braces and close it. So this is how we write a class. All right, this is a public method, this is the class keyword, and this is the name of the class. All right, so that's how we create a class. All right, now there is another thing called fields. All right, to understand field, you can say fields are variables only. All right, they are variables only. A field is simply a variable that is we declare inside a class. All right, like any other variables. All right, they are used to store data. Like here you can see we can write public, all right, int, or let's say public string name of the person. All right, then we can write public int age, right? So this is how we this is called fields. All right, so this is called fields. All right, now here you can notice that there is public keyword in front of all the variables. All right, so they are known as access modifiers. They are basically gatekeepers. They control who has access. All right, who has access to the fields or methods. Now the who in this case is another class. All right, now if we make this to private, now this program class won't be able to access this variables from this person class. All right, now to access this class we have to create an object of this class. All right, so I'm going to teach you how to do that, but before that let's learn how to create methods. All right, let's learn how to create methods inside a new class. So it's also similar like this, public static void main, just like I taught you in previous lecture about functions. So what you can do is public, all right, static void, and let's give it a name. All right, let's give it a name, that is get name. All right, and in here it is not necessary to give the static keyword. All right, there's a reason behind that. You would be learning that reason after, after we get into the concept of static keywords. So don't worry, we are going to get in there. All right, for now remove the static keyword. All right, for now remove the static keyword. What you can do is console dot write line. All right, and write it like this: name is uh, get the name variable in here. All right, get the name variable in here, and similarly do the same thing for the age variable. All right, age is ato. ठीक है? All right, so now what you have to do is, now as we have created our method, what we have to do is we have to create an object of that class. All right, or in simple word, an instance of that class. What does that mean? See, an object is created from a class. All right, we have already created a class named person, so now we can use this to create objects. An object is basically an instance of a class. All right, to create an object of the class, we use the new keyword. Let me show you how. All right, so it's very simple. What you have to do is, first what you have to do, take the class name, that is in our case the class name is person. After that, give it a name, that is I'm going to name it P for now, and then put equals to in there, then write the keyword new, and then again call the class like this. All right, and then give parenthesis to it. After that, if you run it, let's say if you get any errors or not. You are not getting any errors, so that means we are good to go. All right, so now here we have created an instance of a class, or you can say an object of a class. All right, we have created an object of a class. Now, as we have created an instance of the class, we can also access the fields and methods available inside the class from our program class. All right, and make modifications to it. All right, like in here. All right, so what I can do is p dot. All right, here first of all, to access the fields and methods of the class, you have to call that, right? So what you can do is here you have named the class, right? That is, you have named the object as P. So write P in there, then dot. All right, then give the variable name and set the variable name to anything. Let's say your name. All right, and after that set the age value to, let's say my age currently is 17. All right, so I'm going to put it like that. After that, all right, here you can say let's change the name to get details actually. Yeah, that would be better. So now here you can see, let's actually try it out. Let's see if any error is coming or not. So here you can see we are not getting any error. Now let's get the details. Let's see if in the object the details we have filled has been set or not. To do that, as I've created a method that is get details, what I can do is p dot get details, and let's see if everything is working or not. So here you can see all the things in here are working. Now you can create, all right, you can create multiple objects. All right, you can create as many objects you want. All right, like this. Let's try another one, that is person P equals new person, and in here what you can do is P dot name equals, let's give it Rohit. All right, and let's give its age also 18. Let's give it, and now let's see. Oh, all right, always remember, I did a mistake. I named both the both the instances with the same name, so don't do that. All right, change the name in here. My bad. So now what you can do is p1 dot get details. All right, now let's see if this works or not. So here you can see both the instances are working. So this is how we create a class and we create an instance of that class. Alright, so this is how we do it. Now, see the fields and methods inside, alright, the fields and method inside a class, alright, like this is a field, alright, this variable is a field, this variable is a field, and this is a method. This whole thing is a method. So they are often referred as class members, alright, they are the member of the class called person. Alright, so make sure to keep this in mind. Alright, so now as we have learned about classes and objects, now it is our time to learn about constructors. Alright, to learn about constructors. I know this term might seem a bit confusing, but don't worry. Alright, don't worry, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Alright, see, what is a constructor? A constructor is basically a special method, alright, that is used to initialize objects. The advantage of using a constructor is that it is called when an object, alright, it is called when an object is created. It can be used to set initial values for fields. Alright, means right now, alright, whenever we are calling this, whenever you are creating an object of this class, no value is being set by default. Alright, we are not able to set any value by default. We are setting them later on. What constructor does is, whenever we create an instance of a class, a constructor is called. Alright, a constructor is called. So to set means to create a constructor, it's very simple. What you have to do is public, alright, then you have to write the class name, alright, you have to write the class name, then parenthesis. It just looks like the function, just you don't have to give the return type. Alright, then in the person I'm going to set, alright, I'm going to set the name to, let's say, default human, and the age to, let's say, 100. Alright, now let's remove the previous code. Alright, let's remove the previous code and let's see how this whole constructor thing is working. Right, see, I won't be setting the name right now. What I'll be doing is I would just be creating an instance of the class, and then we'll be calling this method directly. I won't be setting the name right now. You will see what will be the output. Alright, so let me show you. So first of all, what you have to do is create an instance of the class. So how do we do that? Person p equals new person, alright, semicolon, and then p dot get details. Alright, and in here, let's see if it works or not. So here you can see we didn't set the name. Alright, we didn't set the class name in here. We didn't set it explicitly. Alright, we didn't set it explicitly. The constructor, alright, the constructor is called when the object is already created. So that's why by default, the constructor has set the variable name and age to the specified value. And in our case, for the name, the specified value is default human, and for the age, the specified value is 100. Alright, I hope you understand the the concept of constructors. Alright, now there are a few pointers that you need to remember. Alright, a constructor name must match the class name. Alright, and always remember, a constructor cannot have a return type. Alright, and remember this, a constructor is called whenever an object is created, or you can say an instance is created of the class. Alright, and always remember, see, all classes now have constructors by default. Alright, all classes have constructors by default. If you don't create a constructor by yourself now, the C# programming language, alright, or any other programming language will create a default constructor for you, alright, by himself. Alright, but means the C# will create automatically a constructor for you. Alright, however, the problem with that comes is that you won't be able to set the initial values for the fields. So that's a problem. That's why we can, we define means we define a constructor manually. All right. So I hope the concept of constructors, classes and objects are clear. All right. I hope you have understood the concept of classes, objects, and constructors. About you have understood about. I hope you have understood about fields and methods, about class members. So now our next topic. All right. Our next topic is of constructor parameters. All right. Like in functions, how I told you about parameters. This is also something like that. All right. This is also same. So to create a parameter, what you can do is within the parenthesis you can create variables. All right, that is you can create parameters. Now let's create a parameter name. All right, and let's create another parameter as age. After that, what we can do is we can remove the default human from name and set it to dash name, and again do the same thing for age to dash age. All right. Now what is the what is the benefit of it? Let me show you. All right, let me show you. First of all, this will reduce the lines of code. All right, this will reduce the lines of code by a lot. So now as we have set the parameter, it is very simple. It is very simple. So I'm going to create another object, that is, let's say person. All right, person p equals new person. All right, and then p dot get details. And now in here you can see there are parentheses. Inside of this parenthesis we pass some value. So how do we do that? It's very simple. First of all, the first parameter is a string, so we are going to give it a string, that is Priyanshu, and the next parameter is age, and we are going to give it 17. Now let's run it, and here you can see just within 2 lines, like previously we were using 4 lines, now we have reduced it to 2 lines. So now here you can see we are getting the same output we got previously. All right. So that's how they save a lot of time. So I hope constructors, the concept of concept of constructors are clear to you. All right, because the next 2 topics are going to be very interesting, that is access modifiers and static keyword. All right, so let me show you. See, access modifiers basically defines from where we can access our methods and variables from. So far there are 2 access modifiers that you should know. All right, that is public and private. Now public means that we can access the class members from outside the class, whereas in other side, private doesn't allows us to access the class member outside the class, but only can be accessed within the class. All right. So I know it might it might seem a bit overwhelming, or it might get a bit confusing, but that's totally fine. All right, that's totally fine. The thing is, I'm going to show it to you by doing it practically. Now let's remove this constructor because we don't need it as of now. All right, let's remove this. All right, now in here let's change the name. All right, let's change the public keyword to private. All right, let's change it to private. Now let's create another instance, that is person p equals new person. Now in here p dot name equals, let's set it to Priyanshu. All right, again let's set it to Priyanshu, and again let's set the age to, let's say 17. All right, and let's try to get the details. Now let's see what happens. First of all, let me ask you, will it return an error or will it work? Will it work or return any error? Just give it a thought. All right, pause the video, give it a thought, and then return. So I'm going to show you. Here you can see there are 3 errors. The errors are the hello world. All right, .person.name means this is the namespace hello world. All right, the person.name is inaccessible due to its protection level. Again, another is person.age is inaccessible due to its protection level, The same goes for person.getDetails is inaccessible due to its protection level. So because of the private, alright, because of the private, this private keyword, what is happening, it made our fields and methods private, so we can't access the variables and methods outside of the class, whereas with public keyword we can do that, right? And let's say there's another way to make field or method private, is that you can simply remove the private and it would be go to private by default. But I don't I always like to write private because I don't know, but it seems really good to write private at first, so that's why I always write private. And I also suggest you for initial stages, all right, for initial stages, write private, all right. If you are creating any private method, then for initial stages write private, all right, so that you get it more clearly that what is the use of private. So I hope you are now clear with the concept of access modifiers, what are public and private, all right. Now there are two more access modifiers, that is protected, all right. Protected is there, and so you can learn more about them, all right. You can learn more about them, you can search about them, you can learn more about them, all right, through Google. So make sure you do that. Now next, all right, the next concept we are going to learn is static keyword and static classes, all right. So first of all, let's understand the concept of static keyword, all right. See, the static keyword now actually helps us to get access to the class members such as variables, methods, etc. with it without needing to create an instance or object of the class. Whereas I hope you understood this, right? Right now, all right, let's make this variable to public. As of now, let's make them to public. So now here you can see we are creating an instance of the class, right? We are creating an instance or object of the class to access these variables, right? We are creating an instance of the class to access these variables. Now the thing is, if we put a static keyword, alright, if we put a static keyword in front of every variable or field or method like this, static, alright, static, public, then again public static, and let's not create the object. Now what we can do is person dot name equals Priyanshu, sorry, then person dot age equals 17, then person dot get details. Now let's see if this works or not. See, this is working, this is totally working. Now let's again try the same thing without this static keyword. Let's try it out, let's see if that works or not. Here you can see it is telling us an object reference is required to access static member, sorry, non-static member. So here you can see, always remember, all right, always remember, if we create if we make something static, now we don't need to create an object of that class to access it, we can access it directly. But if any variable or method is non-static, all right, like currently this all these methods and variable right in here are non-static, all right, that means they are not static. So we have to create an object of this particular class to edit, or you can say access all the fields and methods present inside the class, all right. So I hope you are clear about this. So basically what we get, static keyword helps us to get access to the class members, all right, without needing to create an instance or object of the class, all right. So that is how the static keyword helps us, all right. I hope you are clear about the concept of static keywords. Now what we have to learn, all right, what we have to learn is about static class, and this is the last concept that we are going to learn in today's lecture. See, just like we learned about this static variables, basically let me tell you, in just like having static methods or fields or properties or constructors, we can also have static classes. Our static classes can only contain static members, all right. a static class can only contain static members. That means, let's say if I create a static class right now, and again let's try the old step we are doing, like creating an object. Let's do it now. All right, p dot p dot name equals let's say Priyanshu, then p dot age equals 17, then p dot get details. Now you'll be getting an error. All right, the error is cannot declare instance members in a static class. Cannot declare instance members in a static class. The reason is all the variables and method right in here, all the variables and method right in here is non-static, and let's turn it to static as of now. All right, let's turn it to static and let's see if we are getting any error or not. Here we are getting again an error. The reason is not because all the variables are in here are static. The reason is because as the class is static, we are trying to create an instance of the class, and that is not possible because uh, we cannot create instance of a static class. We have to get direct access to it, right? So for that, person dot name equals Priyanshu, then person dot age equals 17. Now let's do it person dot get details as, let's see it now. See, it is working like that. So this is what a static class is. All right. So I hope the concepts of classes, objects, fields, method, class members, then access modifiers, and static classes are clear. All right, and this is going to really help you to understand how we work with C# in Unity. All right, so as of now, this module, all right, in this module we have completed our lectures. We have successfully completed this lecture. All right, so next will be start creating our own AR applications, all right, with Vuforia. So yeah, let's get into the next module. Thank you.